Team Pointy Star VO here, and we've got ourselves the Battling Boxer deck. We're going to be showing pretty much how just this deck works and how to build a deck in the How to Build a Deck Part 2. This is going to be just kind of a little bit slower, hopefully, for people who are newer into the game and just didn't really understand some of the stuff that I was mentioning in the other game, so I'll try to take this deck a little slower. This deck is a lot simpler of a deck, and in order to build a deck, you have to remember one thing about decks. Almost every deck has mainly like one or two things it does. That's the point of the deck. Such as the Madolche summon the Madolche Queen. That's the point of the deck. You want to get a queen out. The Lightsworns try to just put all their cards from their deck into the graveyard, except for the Judgment Dragon, which is just a really, really good card. Other cards that are in this deck, or in decks that are like important themes, maybe Cloudians. The whole point of Cloudians is put fog counters all over the field. And so then you get these Battling Boxers. They're all these monsters that are built to summon and then protect this little lead yoke guy. And he himself says, if a Battling Boxer monsters you control would be destroyed by battle or card effect, detach one XYZ material from this card instead of destroying one of those monsters. When an XYZ material is detached from this card, it gains 100 attack. So if your opponent tries to destroy himself, let's say, you can detach one to negate his destruction, and then he gains 800 attack. So it's really good. So 3000 attack point monster. The deck is just built to summon that guy. So using our monsters and our knowledge of this game, we're going to try and summon this. Ways to get inspiration for decks is to maybe check out some lists online, or just read into the deck a little bit more. But never just copy card for card what somebody else does. I did say that it's possible to be done in a previous video, but doing it is not the best because you might not know why they're using this card. Maybe you don't like this card in the deck and you're just using it because they said to. You wanna know why you're running every card in the deck. That just gives you ideas in case if you're at like 30 cards and you still need 10 more cards. We're going to move on into this little deck building thing, so we're gonna look at this. This guy says, when this card is targeted for an attack, destroy this card. When this card is sent to the graveyard by a card effect, including his own, you can target a Battling Boxer monster in your graveyard except for himself and add that to your hand. That might be able to help since these other monsters all kind of help to summon the lead yoke. So we're going to put 3 of him in since there's not very many monsters. The next card is the Battling Boxer Switch Hitter. When this card is normal summoned, you can target a Battling Boxer monster in your graveyard, special summon that target. You cannot special summon other monsters except for Battling Boxer monsters this turn. Such meaning, if he goes to the graveyard by his effect and you get an added card, then you can use this guy to bring him back to summon an XYZ. So we're going to use 3 of him. That puts us at 6 monsters. We got 3 of these, 3 of these. We'll move on in the list with this Battling Boxer Sparer. If you control a Battling Boxer monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. If you do, you cannot conduct your battle phase, which is not a big deal since the lead yoke protects himself. This card will just allow you to pull out more cards. So in case if you summon this guy, to special him, maybe special a second one. I mean, you can just pull out multiple cards really quickly using this guy. So we're going to run 3 more of that. The last level 4 monster is the Battling Boxer Headgeared. Why you would use this is when this card is normal summoned, you can send a Battling Boxer monster from your deck to the graveyard, and then once per turn, this face-up attack position card cannot be destroyed by battle. Why this is good is because of this Battling Boxer Glassjaw. You can send him to the graveyard using his effect, and then just instantly get a card back to your hand. And then he himself is just level 4, and he stays on the field, so you can work with other cards, or maybe summon this and do some XCs. It's just really good. The next 2 monsters are this one that says, if it attacks defense by this monster, destroy that monster. It's a good card, except for the fact that his attack's so low and he's level 3 when you're trying to stick with level 4s. Just like this Battling Boxer Ribgardna, which says, during either player's turn, you can banish this card from your hand or graveyard to target a Battling Boxer monster you control and banish it until standby phase, which would normally be good, except for the fact that you might end up trying to use it against your Battling Boxer lead yoke, and that would just kill it because it would lose its attack bonuses and lose its materials. So we're not going to use that guy either. But we are going to use the Battling Boxer Counterpunch. During the damage step of either player's turn, when a Battling Boxer monster you control is attacking or being attacked, you can banish this card from your hand or graveyard. That monster gains 1000 attack until the end phase. You can only use this effect of Battling Boxer Counterpunch once per turn. thus making it so you can summon this monster, or summon a big monster, and this card will give him 1,000 extra attack in case if you're fighting something that you really want to get some damage in, or it's just really strong. So we're going to put 3 of those in. Looking at this deck, we're doing pretty good. We might stick in some lead yoke since that's the point of the deck, but we don't really want any of these other guys in here. Looking at the spells, the only spell that's out that's not from like the anime or the, just the video games or anything is this one, the Battling Boxing Spirits. Send the top card of your deck to the graveyard, then target a Battling Boxer monster in your graveyard, special summon it in face-up defense position. It's sort of like a monster reborn for Battling Boxers. So we're going to stick 3 of them in for now because it's a good card. It lets you summon monsters from the grave. We've got ourselves an 18 card structure here, and it's looking pretty good. We've got this, we got these, they're all fire type, warrior type monsters, so let's try and build off of that. When the point of the deck is to summon this lead yoke, we gotta find out ways to make it more consistent. One of the ways to do that is using a card called Reinforcements of the Army. What this card does is it allows you to add 1 level 4 or lower warrior type monster from your deck to your hand, which is any of these guys. So we could add him, we could add him, we could add him, we could add him, or him. It's really good. Another card we could do is we could add the Warrior Returning Alive. Warrior Returning Alive. What this card does is target a warrior type monster in your graveyard, add it back to your hand, such as being able to add back to our hand the monsters that we've already used. We're going to put 2 of those in just because we have the extra room, and it could really be helpful. One of the next cards we're going to try using is the Elemental Dragon Blaster. This card is a really good card because it allows us to discard cards to the graveyard, such as if we want to put into our graveyard, let's say, this guy or this guy. It'll put it down there for us, and we can get card effects. We can use this card to special summon it back from the graveyard after we put it there, and we can destroy an opponent's card using Blaster's effect. We've got to really stress effects in this deck because you really want to pull out this monster, and you want to also be able to hurt your opponent at the same time. So that is why effects are important. I know a little bit about this deck because I looked a little bit online. I've played against it and stuff. So in order to learn how to use a deck, you got to look into it a little bit so that you can, not just be going into it blind. More cards that you might want to try in this deck is maybe something like the Pot of Duality, the card that I've shown in other videos and such that just says, reveal top 3 cards from your deck, add 1 of them to your hand, shuffle the rest back into your deck. You can only activate 1 Pot of Duality per turn, and you cannot special summon during the turn you activate this card. Why would you use this? Is in case if you were just trying to set up. Summon a Glassjaw, Pot of Duality, and just end. You can do that. You can take turns where you can just recover and set up. Especially in decks that just do one thing, like summon this monster. You have plenty of turns when this card is going to be helpful. So I'm going to say 3 of those in the deck, just because it's going to be there's not going to be very many bad things to it. Now, other cards you will use, just in basic cards you use in decks, maybe like the Dark Hole, which says destroy monsters on the field, the Book of Moon. Now, I have my own personal staples. I've always tried to use Book of Moon in decks, but not everybody likes the card. So when you start building decks, you'll start to learn staples that you like maybe the Book of Moon or the Pot of Duality, or just cards that you'll want to try and stick in all of your decks, depending on how your personal preference is. That kind of thing just comes from time, and you maybe check out other people's channels, other people's decks and lists and videos, and just how the deck works, what it does, and it'll help you decide what kind of cards to use. The next card we might use is Mystical Space Typhoon, just because back row's bad, and you can use 3 of these right now, so we might as well. I'm going to call that good for now for spells. There are many other spells you could be using, but we're just going to move on to traps for now to see what we can use. Now, since we do want to summon this guy and we want to keep him out, we're going to try using this card called XYZ Reborn. It says target an XYZ monster in your graveyard, special summon that, and attach this card to it as an XYZ material. So when this guy goes to the grave eventually, we'll be able to use this card to resummon it. Other cards that we're going to be able to use. Maybe we want to use the Fiendish Chain. F-I-E-N, Fiendish Chain. Fiendish Chain says activate by targeting effect monster on the field. Its effects are negated and it cannot attack. So we'll use 3 of those for now, just because we have the room. Maybe we'll try Mirror Force, because it's a good card. Maybe we want to try just, I don't know, Solemn Warning. Compost, I don't know, since we're going to not really want to use the Torrential, we could maybe use the Bottomless Trap Hole. These are all cards that I know from experience, like the compos I've used forever, and just these bottom lists and the warning. It's just once you play the game enough and watch enough people's videos, you know what kind of cards to start trying to use. This is just a thrown together kind of deck. There are many other cards you could be using, like rank up magics and stuff, but this is just to show you how to generally build a deck. Now in decks, you're going to want to have certain ratios. You're going to want to have anywhere from 15 to 20 monsters. You can break that and go a little bit less or a little bit more depending on the deck you're building, but it's very average, I'd say, to try and stick around 15 monsters to 20 monsters, just so that you know that you're not going to leave your field open for your opponent to be hurting you a lot. Since spells can be activated on your own turn, they're really good. You might want to start using 15 to 10 spells. Just because spells are really good, you can activate them like this Rhoda. You can just activate instantly and get a monster from your deck to your hand, and they'll just help you try and get more cards and just work for you. In the trap lineup, you're going to want anywhere from 5 to 10 traps, maybe even more depending on the deck you're running. And so that way you can have not too many traps and you can still use monsters, not too many spells and you still have monsters, and not too many spells, thus letting you use spells and traps. So like the monsters you want and the spells you want and the traps. Extra deck cards, you are allowed 15 spaces. So when building an extra deck, you just gotta look at your main deck and decide what you can do. Looking at this, we notice we have all these level 4s, 1 level 7 and 3 level 3s. So when building the extra deck, we'll go to monsters. We'll go to this XYZ, since you're probably not going to do much synchroing in this kind of deck, and we'll go 4. Now looking at this little thing, we can decide what kind of cards we want to try in this deck. We might use something like the Utopia, because he's just an average XYZ monster everybody likes using. I personally try to work him in every deck just because nobody really hurts him that much. He's just pretty good. Maybe you want to try the, sorry, I'm just being awkward right now. The Blade Armor Ninja, because Blade Armor Ninja, what it does is 2 level 4 warrior types, he can attack twice, since you can target any ninja, including himself. So we might want to try 1 or 2 of those. Pappy, flip up your opponent's monster. Black Ship, destroy your opponent's monster. I mean, these are just cards that I know from experience are just good cards to try using in an extra deck. Other cards you might be trying to use. Heroic Champion Excalibur. Detach 2, it becomes a 4,000 attack point monster. Maybe Diamond Direwolf to destroy a card. Maybe you want Exoton Knight in case if you run out of cards in your hand and field. Maybe Mace Stroke if you're trying to protect cards on the field. Maybe you want something like Lavalval Chain or Degusto Emerald to help try and rebuild your field and deck and such. Maybe you want Cowboy for just being able to poke for 800 damage. The deck is really, in the end, all up to what you want to do. This is just good cards that I found, such as the Lavalval Chain and Degusto Emerald, which just recycle your deck. So after you play for a while, you'll know what kind of cards you really like. Now, there's another thing you can do. If you don't actually own the cards, they do involve this shuffler thing in most games, or most of the softwares. What the shuffling thing does is you press it a bunch of times and you look at it. I did mention this a little bit last time, but you gotta also remember that you have to know if this hand is going to work for you. Looking at this hand, we have 2 switch hitters, 2 Battling Boxer Spirits, 1 Mirror Force, and a counter throw, or counter punch. So what does this mean? It means that this could be a potentially really good or bad hand. You can summon this guy and keep it out there, and then when your opponent tries to attack, use this. So that's not bad. You have the Mirror Force to protect it, and you have Burning Boxing, or the Battling Boxing Spirits, which will let you put the cards back to your field so you can try and summon your Levio. I would call this a good hand, because I know that these card effects work. You want to try and maybe play through a couple turns. What would you do next turn? You draw Fiendish Chain. Well, if this monster died, you could reuse this. If it didn't die, you just normal summon this. And there's so many things you can do in this deck. This is just, why you do this is so you can know what kind of consistency you're having. Such as these guys right here, right there. You could pull out an XYZ right now if you wanted to. Or you could just simply summon this monster, Pot of Duality. Your next 3 cards would be these 3. You could take this one to your hand. And then just many things you can do. It's just really, really positive. This testing thing is really nice. After you find it, as I said in the last one, save, and you can go to this AI and test against them, or just test against some random duelist. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, so we had a little bit of an error. I was about to test and show you the practice duel, and the compiler thing kind of messed up. So I guess I'll just be really quick and just kind of say what you can do is just keep doing this. When you do try to do the test, I'll try one more time, just in case if it works. There was a glitch in the system when I tried last time, in which the AI decided to summon 40 million XYZs without my consent, or without the monsters to summon them. We'll try one more time. We're just going to try something really simple. We'll try using this Rhoda card. Rhoda will get us our switch header for the next turn after we get some cards off. We'll normal summon the headgear, we'll use headgear's effect, and we'll throw Glacia on the graveyard. Then we can special summon this card, and since we won't be able to use our battle phase this turn anyways, we can just go straight into the lead yoke first turn. Now we have the lead yoke, we're probably going to set our 2 mystical space typhoons, and we'll just end our turn. The opponent's turn, they're probably going to try and do things. Let's see, though, MST, my MST, whoopie-doo. Get their double summon effect. They always like to set one and summon the other, but it's fine, I guess. He does set 2 cards, and we'll activate our mystical space typhoon on 1. And we hit Dark Hole, which means that second one is probably going to be something really hurtful. We'll summon our switch hitter, use the switch hitter's effect to resummon the Glassjaw from our graveyard. And then we'll special summon another Battling Boxer lead yoke. Now that we have 2 out, we can just kind of wait, we'll go battle phase. When we're calculating damage, we could chain that, but we don't really have a need to, so we'll just go attacking in all these cards, and we'll just see what happens. We'll end our turn, let the opponent go, and we're pretty good here. He does set a card and ends, and we'll just, as I said, we'll just keep pushing forward. We can activate this card if we had an effect. We'll throw this card face down because we can, and let's just start doing some attacks. We'll attack into that card. We could use that if we wanted to when calculating damage. There's no need to, so we're just going to keep doing this. We'll end, let the opponent's turn go. They draw something, maybe they use it, maybe they'll just set a card. It's all just depending. We can use this blaster now if we want to, and we could activate it and destroy their monster and attack with both, or we could just attack with separate ones, so we're probably just going to do that. We'll attack with that. No, and I think we'll use this time just because that extra damage could be nice, and they'll only have that much left. And we'll just end our turn. This is the last chance for the opponent to do anything. They set 1 card, and we're good. The next turn we draw, whatever we draw, we can just activate this card effect. We can discard this and this to destroy the monster. Go battle phase, and we can just attack directly for game, and it's just showing what the deck can do. That was just testing through to see what the deck does, if it works, if it did what you were trying to do. If you're finding that every single game you keep shuffling, right, or you keep trying to play with it, and let's just say you keep drawing 2 Mirror Forces, your 2 XYZ Reborns, 2 MSTs, and you can't do anything with that. Maybe you want to start taking out this card, or maybe you want to take out this card, because if you're not able to do what your deck is supposed to do, you're doing something wrong. I don't mean to be like me when I'm saying that, but it's just a basic thing. Not everybody knows. I'm sorry if this video seemed redundant to some of you, but I was just trying to make it so if you were newer to this game, you'd understand some of the things, like just looking at the top cards of your deck and seeing, oh, this is not a good hand, or oh, this is a really good hand because, I mean, I can just sit there on this card for a couple turns, and then by the time I get this, I'll just be able to protect them really strong. So it's just, I'll leave it up to you. If you have any questions on your decks or anything, just post a list in the comment section below, and I will give you my opinions on it. Maybe I can help you more, and maybe I will be able to be more beneficial to you that way. I just kind of thank you for watching. If you have any other decks or videos or decks you'd like to see me try and make for you, I'll go ahead and I'll do it if you put it in the comment section below or PM our channel. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe if you want more, like if you liked it, and give us feedback. Yeah. Oh!